You are Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Nuggets Nation, what is up, everybody? Hope you guys are feeling good out there as the Denver Nuggets. No more missed timeout, no more Wembanyama late, no more Jokic being shut down, no more talking about spacing because the Denver Nuggets managed to right their wrongs with a thorough victory tonight. 122-111. Did take overtime. Jokic missed what would have been the game-winning shot at the end of regulation. Kind of a couple weird sequences there from Jokic down the stretch. Missed a free throw, the game-winning shot, whatever it might be. But thankfully, it does not matter. As the moment the overtime period started tonight for the Denver Nuggets, they were locked in. They were ready to go. They outscore San Antonio in the overtime 14-3. And that's how you get to your 122-111 final score. I am your host, Aniello Piro. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. And if you're watching live on YouTube, appreciate y'all. As always, make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcast. And for anyone listening on the Locked On Nuggets podcast audio feed, come on over to your Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel so you can get involved with us live here. But, man, I was a little nervous there for a minute. I'm not even going to lie, specifically with how the third quarter went. First half was, pretty much par for the course, right? Close game there at halftime. And then you get to the third quarter and San Antonio outscores Denver 37-27. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they just going to roll over after the way they got done yesterday? Just kind of losing what was the 10-2 run, I believe, that San Antonio closed that game with on Friday night. And tonight, Denver flips the switch there. They do a great job. I think the comeback really started to feel like coming to fruition there in the non-Jokic minutes in the fourth quarter, which we all know has been Denver's Achilles heel in the time that Nikola Jokic has been dominating the NBA. As they've just struggled whenever he leaves the game. It's like all hell breaks loose and they don't know what to do. And they're giving up points left and right, turnovers here, can't score on offense there, whatever it might be. That was not the case tonight. As Russell Westbrook, Michael Porter Jr., even Peyton Watson, who was playing through, kind of some growing pains is kind of how I would mention it, because he had some real highs, he had some real lows. And we'll talk about Peyton Watson throughout the course of this show because I thought he made a tremendous impact tonight. I mean, Nikola Jokic aside, I just caught a bit of Michael Malone's post-game press conference here on the TV, and he talked about, it's a little bit of a cliche, right? It's a team win, what you saw tonight, but it really was a team win in that sense because, Jokic, despite having this incredible stat line, we mentioned it, misses the game-winning shot, misses a free throw late in regulation, and, it can't be perfect all the time. I was shocked that he missed that, to be honest with you. Didn't get the foul call there on Wemby, which, I know was a cause of speculation. I heard Scott Hastings on the broadcast talking about how he just might walk out if that call ended up getting reversed. And I don't know. At first glance, I did not think that it was a foul, but then kind of watching it in slow motion with the way that, Wemby kind of ran into Jokic, and I saw some discourse across social media kind of talking about how, what is it? A violent closeout, I think is the terminology that they like to use. So either way, it doesn't matter. Denver gets the job done here tonight, but they do not get, this is not a Nikola Jokic purely willing the Denver Nuggets to victory. This was a team effort across the board. Obviously, Jokic carrying a majority of the load, but Michael Porter Jr., huge in the second half, absolutely critical. He kind of started making you think that Denver would be able to crawl back into this game. Russell Westbrook, with the energy and the intensity that he brings, they had a still shot of him on the TV where he's just like drenched in sweat, leaping for rebounds, knocking balls loose. So Russell Westbrook, I thought, had a great game, hit a big 3-point shot as well late in this game. You love to see that. And look, I know a lot of people are frustrated with Jamal Murray and the lack of the offensive production that we've seen from Jamal throughout the course of the year. But I thought his defense tonight, I thought, he could be a little Olay at times. I mean, there was a couple moments there like midway through the fourth quarter where it was just like wide open three after wide open three, no closing out, not switching for Denver. And I'm kind of like grabbing my beanie and I'm like, dude, like, what is going on? Like this is fundamental type of stuff, for the Denver Nuggets. But, they do a good job and they clamp down late. I'm not going to go crazy and say this is a season-defining win. No. It's a good win. Let's leave it at that, right? A game that Denver didn't necessarily had to have. But after you got punked in your own building last night, less than 24 hours from when this game tipped off, a 6 p.m. tip-off Mountain Time tonight here in Colorado. It was nice to see the Nuggets respond late in the manner in which they did. And, like I said, Peyton Watson getting some strong closing minutes there. He'll get better because of that. No Christian Brown late either, and he's been, more down than up here in the last month and a half. So, maybe some thoughts on that as well throughout the course of the show. But tonight, man, it was all about the team because Michael Porter Jr. Nikola Jokic led the way. Michael Porter Jr. led the way in minutes played tonight with 46. Michael Malone, after the game, I caught him. He was talking about, I didn't take him out in the second half except for, a cup of coffee. And, that's pretty much it. How often does Michael Porter Jr. lead the team in minutes played? And he made the most of it tonight, man. 28 points. Let's see here. 2 assists. You don't really expect much from the assist department from Michael Porter Jr. 10 rebounds as well for MPJ. So a nice little double-double there from Michael Porter Jr. But 4 of 9 from 3. A nice high volume of 3-point shots taken for MPJ. Knocks down 4 of them. And there was this funny moment right there towards the end of the overtime period where, Russell Westbrook, I think, Denver was up, I think probably double digits at this point. And, Russell Westbrook kind of takes the ball, dribbles it under the hoop, and Michael Porter Jr., right there at the top, drains it. I mean, he was in a flow tonight for sure. And he finished, like I said, 28 points for Michael Porter Jr., 24 of those points for MPJ coming in the second half. So, that's what you want to see. I feel like oftentimes with MPJ, it kind of goes the other way. And this is me just thinking off the top of my head. I feel like we've seen him get hot to start games and then kind of taper off as the game goes along. That was a little bit different here tonight as he picked it up late throughout the course of this game. So you love to see that tonight from Michael Porter Jr. And, the one thing that I was probably going to come on here and look, you're fine with Jokic taking every game-winning shot for Denver, but I would just love to see MPJ get more involved with this offense late in games. And I understand that the Jokic-Murray two-man game has been incredible, right? Sensational. I mean, that's the bread and butter for the Denver Nuggets. So I don't, necessarily hold it against them for going back to that time and time again, going back to the well, because it's worked more often than it hasn't. But with the way that Michael Porter Jr. was playing tonight, man, I mean, he's definitely a guy that I think you could have relied on, or even if he, gets the game-winning shot or takes some big shots late and misses them, you feel confident in him taking those shots just because of the way that he was shooting throughout the course of this game. So we got a comment here. MPJ was awesome. Please don't trade this man. Look, my opinion on the trade scenarios have kind of changed course over the last 3 or 4 weeks or so. I don't think Denver's making a big trade, folks. And I know this is a victory show, so I don't want to talk too much trade right now, but I really just don't think that Denver's going to make a massive move. And the Jamal Murray contract is untradeable. We've talked about that on this show time and time again. Nikola Jokic obviously not going anywhere. Aaron Gordon just signed an extension, not going anywhere. The one core guy that Denver could probably trade if they want to try to improve the roster is Michael Porter Jr. But I think games like tonight, and MPJ is just such a rhythm player, right? Like the highs are high, the lows are lows, but sometimes I just feel like it's kind of completely up to him to get himself going. And I understand these professionals, right? You should be ready to go every night. But like I said, sometimes I wish that Michael Porter Jr. could be a little bit more incorporated in the overall game plan for the Denver Nuggets, because when he's on, I mean, he's absolutely electric, and he takes this team from here to here when he's knocking down those 3-point shots. So good stuff tonight from Michael Porter Jr., who, I think brought the energy. Good defense tonight from MPJ across the board, a plus 21 in the box plus minus, and he finishes with 28 points. But most importantly, 24 of those 28 coming in the second half, which in my opinion helped spearhead this comeback tonight for the Denver Nuggets. So go ahead and drop some comments, guys. Appreciate everyone that is listening live, doing their thing. Hold on, I'm trying to get this lower third ready to go for my break, but I'm not seeing it on the back end. So apologies for that. But let me know how you guys are feeling out there, man, because I thought, it's never easy with this Denver Nuggets team. It's absolutely positively never easy with this team. But tonight they figure out a way to win. Final score, maybe not as indicative of how close this game was at times, but Denver manages to pull away and get revenge on the San Antonio Spurs after they punked them last night at home in Denver. They bounced back tonight in San Antonio, 122-111, your final score. All right, let me hit my first break. When we come back, we will continue along with the conversation. Let's talk a little Peyton Watson, shall we? He's on my TV screen right now doing his post-game interview. like I said, there were some good moments, there were some bad moments, but in my opinion, for a majority tonight, Peyton Watson was good. They don't win this game without his energy and effort and his ability to knock down at least one couple of shots here or there, getting some rebounds, going to the, driving to the basket. So I thought this was a good night for Peyton Watson. So we'll hit a break, come back, do just that, and continue along with the conversation right here on tonight's Victory Locked On Nuggets postcast. Back in just a moment, folks. Let me just make sure one more time that I'm not. All right. Real quick, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at TurboTax, because this is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Are you tired of the endless waiting, wondering, and worrying about your taxes? Well, now that's a thing of the past. You see, taxes don't need to be complicated or stressful. TurboTax is here to change the game by matching you with a TurboTax expert who can get to work on your return right away. No more waiting for answers. No more wondering if you're missing out on deductions. Whether you've got one form or 20, TurboTax experts give your taxes their undivided attention while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on what really matters. You won't have to lift a finger, but you'll get the peace of mind knowing that your taxes are being handled by the pros. Ready for the stress-free taxes and the most money back guaranteed? Head over to TurboTax.com today and get matched with your expert who's ready to take your taxes off of your plate so you can focus on your day. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Man, tax season, I guess it is coming up, right? So check out our friends over at TurboTax. Let them know that Locked On Nuggets sent you, and good luck as we all try to survive another tax season. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope everybody is doing well out there tonight on this Saturday night, right around 9 o'clock here in the Mile High City, as the Denver Nuggets improved to 20-14 on the season with their 122-111 victory over the San Antonio Spurs, who are now 18-17 on the year. 12-8 at home is San Antonio. So talked about Michael Porter Jr. there in the first segment. Let's talk a little Peyton Watson, though, man. Significant minutes tonight for him. 34 minutes of run. Actually had more minutes tonight than Christian Brown, who was in the starting five. Just a couple of minutes below Russell Westbrook. Within spitting distance, he played starter minutes tonight, I think, is the easiest way to kind of sum it up tonight for Peyton Watson. Finishes with only 8 points. I thought he made a three, but I was probably thinking about last night. He did not make a three. He was 0 of 3. But 4 of 6 from the charity stripe, including a couple of clutch free throws there down the stretch, what they needed. But 8 rebounds tonight for Peyton Watson, along with 3 assists. So, doing a good job of, especially against Victor Wembanyama, even blocked him at one point in this game. So, here's the thing with Peyton Watson, man. I like P. Watt. I do. I think he's a very raw player, but I think if he's able to put it all together, man, I mean, he's lanky. He's got to figure out the jump shot, high energy, high effort player, cares, at possession in, possession out. I like Peyton Watson. I'm a Peyton Watson guy. But man, when he shoots the 3-point shot, dude, you gotta close your eyes sometimes, and that's no disrespect to Peyton Watson. I know the 3-point shot isn't necessarily his bread and butter, but some of these bricks are bricks for Peyton Watson. But thankfully tonight, he makes up for that in the rebound department, as I mentioned. And, doing a good job just overall of buying in on defense. A couple lackadaisical moments, not just with him, but for the entirety of Denver's defense throughout the course of the night tonight. But I just thought, the energy that he was able to bring kind of in tandem with Russell Westbrook, again, playing 34 minutes tonight was Peyton Watson, starting type minutes in the NBA, which we've seen him do this year, right? I mentioned it on last night's show that I was a little surprised that with Aaron Gordon out for the moment, that Peyton Watson was not slid back into the starting lineup. Maybe tonight, with the effort that he got, or showed rather, and put forth, maybe that gets him back some starting, minutes, especially with Aaron Gordon being out. And I was talking with some folks at the game last night. It sounds like Aaron Gordon, it's not going to be a 1 or 2 game thing. It sounds like he might be out for a minute. And remember, this is the same injury that knocked Aaron Gordon out for a stretch of games earlier this year as well. So I think Denver wants to try to take the long but right approach when it comes to getting Aaron Gordon back on track and healthy. But in that time, man, I mean, that probably means more and more exposure, more and more minutes for Peyton Watson, who at this point, we're talking about a guy that barely played in college at UCLA as well. It's not like he had played multiple years. Even the 1 year that he played at UCLA, he wasn't like he got extensive run. This is a guy that Denver drafted, I think, a lot because of his intangibles and his character. And so I think the only way that you're going to be able to, get better at the NBA level and be a contributor for this team on a consistent basis is playing through your mistakes. And I think you saw that tonight from Peyton Watson, which you absolutely love to see. And then Nikola Jokic, man, Jokic is just doing Jokic things. The efficiency hasn't quite been there for Nikola the last week or so, but he does finish with 46 points, back-to-back 40-point games tonight for the Joker, a +7 in the box plus minus, a Sombor double, finishes with 10 assists and 9 rebounds, 43 minutes played, 19 for 35 from the field. So like I said, I mean, Jokic doubles up everybody else in regards to shot attempts tonight for the Denver Nuggets. So, it's kind of where we're at with Nikola, right? But I think we all kind of just trust Nikola to do what Nikola wants to do. He was 3 of 8 tonight from 3. Denver was not good, which is why I was a little scared. I mean, they were 0 of 10 at one point from three-point land early in this game. They finished 30% from 3, which is not good by any stretch of the imagination. 10 of 33. San Antonio tonight was just happened to be much worse from three-point land. They were 13 of 48, only 27.1%. But once again, San Antonio nearly doubling, or not nearly, they did double up and some Denver on their three-point shot attempts. And, a little bit of sloppy play there from San Antonio in the fourth quarter. But it starts with the defense. And Jokic talked about that after the game as well. I caught his post-game interview on the court with Vic Lombardi. The way that Denver was able to buy in on defense in the fourth quarter and wreak havoc, even though San Antonio, to their credit, I don't even know if to their credit is the right thing to say there, they did have some open looks. They just couldn't knock them down. So, if they're able to knock down a couple of those open threes, it might be a different ball game here tonight. But, for the most part, I mean, you don't just limit a team to 16 points in the fourth quarter because they miss every shot. I thought Denver did a good job of trying to lock down Victor Wembanyama. Chris Paul looks like he's 40 years old because he is, missing a couple floaters there late. And, you also, this is a young San Antonio Spurs team. Denver is now, here's another thing I haven't talked about yet. Denver's now 7-0 on the second night of back-to-backs this year. 7-0. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive for the Denver Nuggets. So, I think they leaned on their experience tonight, leaned on the juice, and when it mattered most, they were able to kind of flip that switch that maybe San Antonio was still trying to figure out how to flip on their own. So, love to see it tonight from Denver. But Nikola Jokic, man, like I said, he misses a potential game-winning shot there at the end of regulation, but he more than makes up for it there in the overtime period, as did the entirety of the Denver Nuggets team, man. I mean, I thought the way they played it overtime, once again, I mean, they outscore San Antonio 27-16 in the fourth and then 14-3 in the OTs. So you can't really ask for much more in regards to closing out the game tonight like Denver did. So you absolutely love to see that. Russell Westbrook, he didn't light up the stat sheet tonight, only 9 points, but of those 9 points, 1 3-point shot in particular late there in the fourth quarter was a shot that Denver had to have. And I kind of was holding my breath a little bit. It was a wide open look for Russ from beyond the arc. I'm like, oh no, like, is he going to brick it? Is he going to miss it? You had one moment there where Jokic dropped a dime pass and Westbrook, I don't know if the ball slipped, but he airballed a layup in front of the basket. And so, that is the quintessential Russell Westbrook experience, what we saw tonight. 36 minutes played tonight for Russ. As I mentioned, 1 of 4 from 3, but bringing the hustle tonight, man. 6 assists for Russ, 10 rebounds for Westbrook as well, a +5 in the box plus minus. Look, man, maybe it's because he's a Nugget now. I was never anti-Russell Westbrook by any stretch of the imagination, but, he's one of those guys that when you're playing against him, he's a pest. A little bit of a peeve, right? It's like he's so energetic, but he's one of those guys when he's on your team, even though this is not MVP Russell Westbrook, he's an easy guy to root for, man. I mean, always hustling, always trying to make the right play, maybe a little too fast for himself, which is why some turnovers and some missed layups, whatever it might be. But you can't question the heart and the determination of Russell Westbrook. I think it's been a great signing. I really do think it's been a great sign. I mean, where would Denver be, maybe a handful of games worse, without him? But I just think in regards to kind of weathering the storm with this up and down play that we've seen from the Nuggets throughout the course of this season, man, I think Russell Westbrook has really done an excellent job at bringing that tenacity, bringing that juice when Denver needs it most. Because we know that Jokic is going to lead by example. He can get the job done, when he needs to by kind of vocalizing himself and being that type of a leader. But Denver needed that kind of extra firepower that Russell Westbrook brings. So I love to see that tonight from him, man. I thought like I said, the stat sheet, at least in the scoring department, isn't going to make you, bat an eye, but only 9 points tonight for Russ. But the 10 rebounds is great. The hustle plays were great, and just kind of running up and down the court, sweating left and right, doing everything he could to try to win this game. So like I said, a collective team effort tonight for the Denver Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. in the second half, Nikola Jokic for the full game, Russell Westbrook for the full game, and Peyton Watson in spurts throughout the course of the game as well. So you absolutely love to see that. But all right, let me hit my final break. When we come back, we'll get ready to put a bow on the show. Couple of closing thoughts on a nice revenge win for the Denver Nuggets over the San Antonio Spurs. If you guys are watching live, appreciate y'all. Drop some comments. Let me know how you guys are feeling out there. As I always like to say, I'm the host of the show, right? You're here because you want to listen to some Nuggets conversation. But you, the fans, the listeners, the subscribers out there that drop the comments and all that good stuff are the ones that help me drive the conversation. So let me know how you're feeling out there as the Denver Nuggets get the job done tonight over the San Antonio Spurs, 122-111, your final score. All right, hit my final break. Come back, do just that right here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Back in just a moment, folks. All right, real quick, let me tell you about our friends over at Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. I actually canceled a subscription last night because you know what happened to me last year? I paid for the NFL Plus or whatever the heck it's called these days so I can get my NFL Red Zone. I realized that I was paying for that subscription for like an extra 2 or 3 months last year for like nothing because I get it essentially just for Red Zone. So I went in last night. I was chatting with my boy B Moon and, a little cancel subscription here, cancel subscription there. Boom, boom, boom. Good to go. And that's exactly what our friends over at Rocket Money are going to be able to do for you guys. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is their subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every single month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. For anyone listening on the Locked On Nuggets podcast feed, appreciate y'all as always. Come on over to your Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of the show. Make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button as well. That way you guys are always tapped in with all the Denver Nuggets coverage and conversation here. But tonight for Denver, a victory show as they get their revenge over the San Antonio Spurs, 122-111, your final score. Absolutely love to see that. And Victor Wembanyama, man, I think this is probably the first time, maybe the second time I mentioned his name throughout the course of the show. Dude is an absolute freak. And go look at the thumbnail. Let me actually see if I can upload this photo real quick because I want you guys to see it on YouTube. Should be an overlay. I mean, how cool is this photo? Oh, that's the wrong thing. How cool is this photo tonight, courtesy of USA Today Images, of Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama? It's uploading right now. I mean, look at that. And I put it out on Twitter as soon as I saw. That's why I went with it for the thumbnail tonight on YouTube. That is the present teaching the future. That is the teacher and the student. And look, I don't think Nikola Jokic, I'll put it up one more time. I don't think Nikola Jokic is going anywhere, anytime soon. I think we still got, 5, 6, hopefully 7+ more years of just apex Nikola Jokic. I also just think his body type and his play style, like he doesn't rely on his athleticism. Not that he has, a ton to begin with, frankly. But I think, as long as Nikola wants to play, he'll be able to play at a high level. But I just look so forward to watching Nikola and Wemby just continue to battle. I mean, could you imagine if somehow we had a Nuggets Spurs playoff matchup and you've got Jokic and Wemby and high stakes basketball, win or go home type of scenarios and games on the road. I mean, I was talking with my guy Ryan Blackburn last night after Denver's loss about Wemby and Jokic, and he kind of made the comp. I don't really know that there's a fair comp for this in regards to battle of the bigs. Like, obviously, you could go Wilt and Kareem, obviously, he's kind of the first one that comes to mind, but it feels a little bit like Hakeem and Shaq, where like Hakeem, right, he'd been dominating the league for a while, got his chip, when Jordan was out of the league, right, and then Shaq's kind of the new kid on the block, this force of a player, and he kind of is doing his thing and blazing his own path. And like I said, I don't think there's a firm comp, but it is just such a joy to watch Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama battle it out. And I'm a little upset that these happen in back-to-back games because, like, you kind of want to spread it out a little bit, build some anticipation up. And it's crazy. It's like I'm not even thinking about Joel Embiid these days. I'm just not. I'm thinking about Victor Wembanyama and just kind of the force, the specimen that he is and is continuing to evolve into at the NBA level tonight. I mean, he was not exactly fantastic by his standards. I mean, he only 20 and 23. 20 points, 23 rebounds, all of which came on the defensive side of the end, or the defensive end of the floor tonight, which is interesting. But he also struggled from three. This is a guy that's going to take a high volume of three-point shots, took 12 tonight. For perspective, I mean, that's more than every Nuggets player took in the starting rotation. He outshot MPJ from three in regards to attempts by 3. MPJ took 9 three-point attempts, whereas Wemby took 12. So, it was a rough three-point shooting night, as I mentioned. Chris Paul, 0 of 3. Devin Vassell, 1 of 6. Harrison Barnes was 4 of 8. So, he was the one guy that shot, really well tonight from 3. But really, outside of that, man, Denver got a little bit lucky with some of the missed shots, but also, as I mentioned, that clutch fourth quarter and overtime defense ultimately helped push them over the top for this win here tonight. So, let's take a look real quick at Denver's upcoming schedule before we get out of here. Oh, a couple of days off, man. This is going to be a fun game coming up on Tuesday night as the Boston Celtics, the reigning defending NBA champions, come to town. So a battle of the two most recent NBA champs in the Nuggets and the Celtics on TNT, 8 p.m. tip-off on Tuesday. That is going to be a fun matchup between Denver and Boston. Very interested to see how Denver holds up in that one, especially with, three-point shooting. We know how that goes with Boston. So, kind of an interesting kind of back-to-back game stretch here. It actually is a back-to-back in a formal sense. Boston and then at home again on the 8th, which is Wednesday against the Clippers. So 2 interesting kind of gut check games here for Denver with the Celtics coming to town and the Clippers the following night as well. But for tonight, folks, it is a 122-111 W for the good guys. Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., Peyton Watson, Russell Westbrook, all doing their thing as they help push Denver to this victory. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for me on tonight's episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Appreciate y'all as always. Make sure to hit that like and make sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button on your way out. Yeah, good point. Kawhi's back. I believe tonight is he made his season debut tonight. So Kawhi Leonard, it's going to be a little bit of a new look, not a new look because we know what Kawhi is with the Clippers, right? But they haven't had him all year. So it'll be interesting to see the Claw, the Joker. Should be a good matchup there on Wednesday. So enjoy your Saturday night, folks, what's left of it. Hopefully everybody's in a good mood after Denver gets the job done. But I'm your host, Aniello Piro. You guys can follow me on social at Media by AP. Appreciate y'all as always. Good win tonight for the Nuggets. Back at it on Tuesday night. Have a good one, folks.